So these are some of the applications of forensic linguistics. First, we have voice identification, which is basically about forensic phonetics. And those who are doing phonetics and acoustics must be familiar with this kind of research, where they analyze the acoustic qualities of the voice. For example, each of us, okay, according to forensic linguists, we believe that each of us has our own linguistic fingerprints, meaning to say that each of us is unique, or what in linguistic terms we call it idiolects, right? So by doing voice identification, you can actually determine, for example, if you want, we have asylum seekers, right, such as Rohingyas, and this person has been living like 40 years in Malaysia. But by conducting voice identification, you can still actually determine or investigate the origins of this person, right? The second applications of forensic linguistics is interpretations of expressed meaning in laws and legal writings. Okay, I'm going to provide example after this. The third one is about analysis of legal of discourse in legal settings, such as courtroom or police interviews. For example, we look at how interviews are conducted, such as looking at types of questions being used by lawyers, voice examinations, or even re-examination activities, or police officers, how they use questions. For example, if they have to questions or interrogate adults, they must be different when you wanted to interrogate kids, right? Because that's why uh, this is why we believe that it is important for police officers and legal practitioners to know about linguistic knowledge as well, right? And then number 4 is the interpretations of intended meaning in oral and written statements, such as looking at conventions, or we can even try to detect lie apart from using the technology, the topograph, if I'm not mistaken, the topograph machine. We also can use language to determine whether that person is lying to us or not. Apart from non-verbal communication, for example, if that person keep on, when that person keep on touching the nose when speaking to you, you want to make sure that whether it is the normality of that person, or if that person is trying to lie to you. Okay, with psychology, or even with some psychology knowledge, you can actually uh, you know try to understand better a behavior of that person. All right. uh, Number 5 is authorship identification, which is a technique to determine who wrote a text through linguistic and stylistic analysis. Okay, for example, if you receive suicidal notes, right? Then in the suicidal notes, it's been mentioned that I hereby, I wanted to suicide myself because I don't have the intention to live longer, and I hereby inherit all my or bestowing all my inheritance to this person. But you can actually determine whether it is written by the victims or someone else actually have wrote the things. Okay. And number 6 is about the language of the law. For example, it's the plain language movement, the one that I told you before, where we try to use um, language that is understandable by lay people, because we can't deny the fact that when we talk about legal context or law, we have to deal with all sorts of backgrounds of people. Okay, so some of them might come from different educational background. So this is why it is important to have the plain language movement. And number 7 is interpretation and translation, where more than one language must be used in a legal context. And I believe this really makes sense in our Malaysian context, because previously, since 1950s, we have been using English as part of medium of communication in the courtrooms. And since 1980s, we've just moved to Bahasa Melayu, right? But to what extent it is really being applied by legal practitioners? Because I know that some people say that some legal terms are difficult to be translated, or we try to. That's why we opt for Latin words, whereas we can actually use general language to describe it, right? But then that's why regarding the translation in Malaysia case, right? We have court translators. And I believe that for court translators, they need to know the linguistic knowledge as well, because uh, because in the process of um, in the process of um translating the language, right? Somehow the meaning got lost. Yeah, in between. So that's why it is important to do this, right? Now I will move on to the developments of forensic
Kenapa
linguistics.
alih? Tak payahlah alih.
Uh, uh, Ustaz Majidan, can I ask you to mute your microphone first? Right, thank you. Okay, so development of forensic linguistics. Um, okay, since 1980s, law received the attentions of the linguists. Okay, because linguists became interested in a wide variety of law-related topics, prompted greatly by the request of the legal professionals themselves in helping to prepare lawyers' case, both civil and criminal, and then present them in court in assisting law enforcement agencies. All right. However, although it received the attention in 1980s, it started to gain the first the term forensic linguistics has been coined first time in 1968 by John Bartwick and started mainly in UK, USA and Australia. Okay, uh, he had published a research showing that a modest grammatical style could become effectively a judicial proof. And this is about Timothy Evans' famous case. I will share after the slide. Okay. And then at present, the history of FL is still being written. Several scholarly organizations are involved in furthering research on language and law, including the American Dialect Society, the American Name Society, the Dictionary Society, the International Associations of Forensic Linguists, the International Language and Law Associations, and the Law and Society Association. I think it will be interesting to have such organizations in Malaysia too, because at the moment we don't have uh, um, a body for forensic linguistics to work together. Okay.